Husker Scott Spring Sports, ladies and gentlemen. I'm back by myself again. It's time to do some more college football and NFL predictions, so let's get into those right now. First off, UCF and Oklahoma tomorrow. Nope. UCF Oklahoma Saturday. There is no way in heck that UCF wins this game. There's no way that we win this game. Unfortunately, I think Dylan Gabriel's gonna probably play the best he has all season. I think he's probably going to throw like 6 touchdowns to make us remember how good he was and how we messed up by letting him enter the portal. So I think Oklahoma absolutely destroys UCF this week. I think our defense is not good enough. I think with John Rice pulling me back 100%, I think we'll be able to put up some points, but I don't think it'll be enough for this game to be competitive. I'll take Oklahoma big in this game. Next up, Air Force and Navy. Always a tough pick between these two schools that I definitely have a lot of respect for with what they do for the country. But I'm taking Air Force in this game. I think Air Force is probably the best of the independents this year, so I'll take Air Force to get the win over Navy. Next up, Washington State and Oregon. I'm going to go with Oregon. Dan Lanning has absolute full responsibility for that loss last week to Washington. I think he left too many points on the board last week with being a little too aggressive in the game, but I'll take Oregon at home over Washington State. Next up, Tennessee and Alabama. I think Alabama's finally starting to figure it out. I'll take Alabama at home over Tennessee. Next up, South Carolina and Missouri. Give me Missouri. I think Missouri is a contender this year in the SEC East. I think Missouri can definitely win the East this year with Georgia not looking as good as they have, and Missouri playing as well. So I'll take Missouri at home over South Carolina. Next up, North Texas and Tulane. Give me Tulane. I think Michael Pratt and Tulane have done very well this year. Thought they would take a little bit of a step back without Tajay Spears this year, but I think Michael Pratt's done very well this year as the starting quarterback for Tulane. So I will take Tulane at home over North Texas. Next up, Minnesota and Iowa. Saturday at Kinnick, I will take Iowa. I think Iowa's done very well this year. Couldn't make it back to the Big Ten Championship game this year. I'm going to take Iowa to find a way to get a win at home over Minnesota. Next up, Texas and Houston. Texas coming off a loss to Oklahoma 2 weeks ago, and Houston coming off that miraculous win last week against West Virginia. I'm going to take Texas in this game. I think Texas knows they got to win out to have a chance to make the college football playoffs. So I'm going to take Quinn Ewers in Texas to get back on track this week and get a win on the road against Houston. Next up, Virginia and North Carolina. I'm going to go with Drake May and North Carolina. I think Drake May has done very well this year, undefeated so far in the ACC. I will go with Drake May and North Carolina to get a win at home against Virginia. Next up, Ole Miss and Auburn. I'm going to go with Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss is doing very well so far this year. I'm going to go with Ole Miss to get the win on the road at Auburn. Next up, Michigan State. Always a fun game to watch if both teams are good. Unfortunately, only one of these teams is good this year. I'm going to go with Jim Harbaugh and Michigan to get a win on the road over Michigan State. Michigan favored by 24 points this week. I'm going to take Michigan State in the points, but I don't think they went out. I'll take Michigan on the road against Michigan State. Good game here is it'll be Florida State and Duke at Doak Campbell Stadium. I will take Florida State. I think Jordan Travis has played very well this year. Probably 2 of the best quarterbacks in the ACC here in Jordan Travis and Riley Leonard. I will go with Florida State to get the win here at home over Duke. Next up, Army and LSU. I will go with LSU. I think LSU knows they got to win out to get to the SEC championship game, so I'll go with LSU to get the win at home over Army. Next up, USC and Utah, 8 o'clock on Fox. Should be a great game here. I'm going to go with USC to get back on track. I think Caleb Williams knows how bad he played last week against Notre Dame, and I think he plays much better this week. Give me USC at home over Utah. Next up, Arizona State and Washington. I'll go with Michael Penix and Washington to get the win here. I think Michael Penix is probably the favorite to win the Heisman right now. So I will go with Michael Penix and Washington to get the win at home over Arizona State. Next up, UCLA and Stanford. I'll go with UCLA to get the win here on the road. I think Stanford is not a great team right now, even though they got a nice win last week against Colorado. I don't think it'll be enough this week. I'll take UCLA over Stanford. And now the college game day game of the week. They will be in Columbus this week, as it'll be number 7 Penn State heading into Columbus to take on Ohio State. I'm going to go with Ryan Day in Ohio State here. I think Ohio State's had a much tougher schedule than Penn State has to start the season. I was watching First Take yesterday, and they said Penn State and Michigan are the two easiest schedules coming into conference play this year. So I'll take Ohio State to get a win over Penn State. Let's see. Where is it? Now into the NFL games for the weekend. I guess Kentucky's on a bye week this week because I didn't see them in the SEC or college football schedule this week. But if they do play Terry, let me know and I'll pick that game on in the comments. First game out tonight, Jags and Saints. Trevor Lawrence is starting to play a lot better. I'll take Jacksonville on the road to get a slight upset on the road in New Orleans against the Saints. Next up, the Las Vegas Raiders heading into Chicago to take on the Bears. Give me the Raiders on the road. Both teams probably with backup quarterbacks this week. Jimmy G is hurt, as is Justin Fields. But I think the Raiders will do enough to get the win here on the road against the Bears. Next up, the Browns and the Colts. Give me the Browns on the road. I think the Browns will do enough defensively this week to get a win. No AR7 this week. He's out for the rest of the season. I will go with the Browns on the road over the Colts. Next up, the Buffalo Bills heading into Foxborough to take on Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots. Probably the most lopsided Bills-Pats game you've ever seen here. On the other side of things, I'll take Buffalo to get a win here on the road over New England. A short week for the Bills this week, but I don't think it'll matter. I'll take Buffalo over New England. Next up, the Washington Commanders heading into New York to take on the Giants. I'm going to go with Sam Howell and Washington to get a win here. I think the Commanders are going to play a little bit better this week than the Giants. So I'll take the Commanders on the road over the Giants. Next up, the Falcons heading into Ray J to take on the Bucs. 78 degrees on Sunday at Raymond James Stadium. I will take the Bucs to get back on track. I think Baker Mayfield said it best last week. The entire team played like crap last week, and I absolutely agree with him. I think the defense played horribly last week. The offense couldn't do anything. I think the Bucs played much better this week and get a win at home. A must-win game for the Bucs here. I'll take the Bucs over the Falcons. Next up, the Detroit Lions heading into Baltimore to take on the Ravens. Give me the Lions. I think Jared Goff and the Lions have proven that they are one of the best teams in the NFL. And I just don't think Lamar Jackson and the Ravens are as good as they have been in years past. So I'm going to take Jared Goff and the Lions to pull off the upset on the road over the Ravens. Next up, the Pittsburgh Steelers heading into LA to take on the Rams. Steelers coming off a bye week. And I'm going to take the Steelers on the road. I think this is a virtual home game for Pittsburgh because mostly every game for the Rams and Chargers are virtual road games when they're at home because none of these fans here in LA show up. I'm going to take the Steelers on the road over the Rams. Next up, the Arizona Cardinals heading into Seattle to take on the Seahawks. Kyler Murray has been reinstated. He will be, I don't know if he'll play this week, but he is back in practice this week. But I will take Seattle. I think the Seahawks at home are going to do enough on the defensive side of the football to get a win on the road at home in Seattle against the Cardinals. Next up, the Green Bay Packers heading into Denver to take on the Broncos. Give me Jordan Love, Aaron Jones, and the Green Bay Packers to get back on track after a bad loss a couple weeks ago to the Raiders. I will take the Packers on the road to get it done against the Broncos. Next up, the Los Angeles Chargers coming off a tough loss on Monday night against the Cowboys as they head into Kansas City to take on the Chiefs. Give me Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs to get back to keep it going here. I will take Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs to make that 6 straight wins for the Chiefs. So give me the Chiefs at home over the Chargers. Next up, is probably the best game of the weekend is it'll be Tua and the Dolphins heading into Philly to take on Jalen Hurts and the Eagles. Give me Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles to get back on track here. I think the Eagles know how bad they played last week at home in New York against the Jets last week. So I think they're back at home at the Link. I think they'll do just enough this week at home on Sunday night against Tua and the Dolphins, but I expect a high-scoring game. 62 degrees in Philly on Sunday night, but I'll take the Eagles to get it done at home over the Dolphins. Next up, Monday Night Football, as it'll be Brock Purdy and the Niners heading into Minneapolis to take on Kirk Cousins and the Minnesota Vikings. Hopefully Christian McCaffrey plays this week. I need him in fantasy this week. I'll take Brock Purdy and the San Francisco 49ers to get a win here on the road against the Vikings. And that'll do it for this episode of Scott Sweeney Sports Today, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be back next week with some more picks for the NFL and college football for next week. And I'll see you guys right back here next week on Scott Sweeney Sports. See you later, guys.